welcome to True Tempo. I'm gonna do a small kind of metagame analysis video after the Fantasticar ban. And as I am speaking, it's Tuesday in France in the daytime. So tonight, my time, Wizards are gonna do some kind of talk where they explain more. They didn't explain anything in the ban article in English, but in the Japanese article, they did explain, and the reasons were pretty standard, kind of expected reasons for why they wanted the car banned. And so, yeah, no big surprises there. And I'm not gonna go into much talk about that, but focus on where the metagame is headed now. So this is, of course, a look back for the metagame with the car, but I'm just going to use this as the baseline for talking. So, like a deck that is going to be less obvious to choose is the Filia deck, Azorius Tempo. This was a deck that was kind of well designed to beat different car strategies because of Stifle and Consign in the main deck. So this is still a fine deck, no doubt. It's just going to be less obvious as a choice for people who want to attack the metagame, like grinders who come from different formats and want to play a good deck without having a lot of chops. I think some of them chose Blue-White Filia. And going forward, I think they're going to choose Dimir Tempo. So a deck like Doomsday, it rose a lot, and it's going to fall back to like its previous numbers. It's going to be only the aficionados who are going to play this deck. I just had a French word mixed in after saying aficionado, which is, I guess, Spanish or Italian. I don't know. But anyway, Doomsday is still a very good deck, but I just don't think that the same amount of people are going to play it. I think Rakdos Reanimator is going to stay popular at the same clip, and the same goes for Sneak and Show. Izzet Delver has been falling off, but I think it's gonna have a chance to shine once again. Lands and Energy have been like less popular in the Fantasticar metagame, so I assume they're gonna rise a bit once again. So basically, we have a metagame which is dialed back to pre-car, but post Candelabra ban. So we had a metagame with Tron being really strong, and I definitely imagine some kind of Tron or Forge deck coming back, being more popular. That's a slowish deck that was not well positioned against Car, so that's one of the decks that can rise and shine once again. So basically, we have a metagame which is like in subtle ways changing in many aspects, where some more fairish, more slower decks they can be chosen with a good reason, and they can kind of prey on the tempo decks, Dimir, and to some extent Izzet, and of course Blue-White. Then we have Bilbo coming into the equation, and I think Bilbo is going to be mostly played in Dimir. With Thoughtseize, it makes sense. So we already saw INF play a paper tournament this past weekend with Tamios and Bilbos in like standard Dimir tempo. I think he played 3 Bilbos. And yeah, it's gonna impact, but it's not gonna change the numbers, I think, overall, nor the dynamics. And I'm not sure it's gonna stay either, even though it seems like a very good card. But there's a lot of good options in tempo. It could also come out of the like Doomsday sideboard, stuff like that, be part of that tempo package. But yeah, basically, we're gonna have I think a metagame that slows down a bit, and with a kind of more focus on winning on the battlefield. And like my personal choice, my personal recommendation would be the Moon Shadow deck that I've been playing and really enjoying. But with Bilbo, that's what I would try if I had the Bilbos. I'm not gonna go ahead and buy them when they're expensive. I hope they drop off in price pretty soon. It's like later today that they'll be available on Magic Online. But if you like Izzet, I think actually there's a spot for Izzet, but without Bilbo. So this is more or less what I played before Car, and when the metagame was pretty close to what it's going to be now, a metagame where you want to kind of go bigger than Demir if you wanna win tournaments, and that at that point in time, I liked Snapcaster because of consigns. Like I had the quad consigns for the Tron matchups, and I mean most of them, if not all, can go. I think maybe not all. Let's see, but it doesn't seem obvious as a sideboard card now, at least not in more than 2 copies. And Snapcaster maybe shouldn't be here, but Cutter in flow state I think is actually a good starting point for going bigger than Demir and like energy and so on. But I don't think Bilbo is easy to fit. Like you can definitely play Bilbo instead of like Murktide and 2 flow states or Snapcasters, and you can fit it, but I'm not sure it's going to be very good. Because you have you don't have the same. You can protect it with a turn 1 Thoughtseize. You can't play as many good turn 1 creatures that get targeted by removal, leaving the way for Bilbo to be like untargeted later on. You already have a lot of good 2-drops, and I don't think that it really improves, is it? But on the other hand, if the opponent is playing Bilbo, which is a 2-drop that gets bolded and blasted, it's not a big threat because you can easily get rid of it. Then you're gaining tempo in that exchange. When you shoot it for 1 mana, they spend 2 without getting any like into the battlefield effect or something like that. Value, like if they play Bowmaster, is much worse. So I can see a metagame where old Izzet, or just like from the previous metagame, can be good. I'm very unsure about all the flex slots here. Like all of this is flex slots. These 7 cards, more or less, yeah. And the mana base, I'm not sure. That depends on the cards, of course. But I think there's a place for Izzet in this shell. And otherwise, this is. I'm gonna find the Demir lists that I'd like to play. Of course, this is a placeholder, as I said last week. This is what I showed you last week. I just removed the Hercules recalls because we don't need that anymore. I do want to say that I think the Welder Cam deck is probably the strongest deck in a vacuum in the current metagame. So let's see where that goes. But I think if that's in your wheelhouse, you should definitely go for Welder Cam and try to get good at that. I don't think I'm going to do that because I enjoy playing tempo and these cantrips and so on. But I think it's kind of the obvious best deck in the format. Well, it's maybe not obvious. Demir is the obvious choice with Temios. That's what most people will play. But I think Welder Cam is something to not underestimate for sure. And the good thing about is we can play Meltdown. I think Meltdown is going to be pretty good in the metagame. But let's see. Energy, lands, yeah, a lot of stuff is going to come back from before. a bit stronger. So that's all I have to say for now, and maybe I'll add something if they say something interesting later this evening, my time. But for now, have a good week and see you soon.